Alright, so these are my two Kawasaki ZX-9Rs or GPZ 900s, depending on who you ask. Even though they say GPZ on the crankcases down here, I've been told they're not actually GPZs, they're actually the very first, or rather the second year Ninjas that were produced. So these, who make these ZX-9Rs. Bitchin' bikes, really fast, great big 900cc liquid cooled engines, and I'm going to take two of these and make them into one. The story behind them is this one has good paperwork, which is always a plus, necessary in my part of the country, but this thing has a relatively common problem, which is the starter clutch goes out on them. On most bikes, not a big deal. You pop off the case cover, throw in a new starter clutch, Bob's your uncle. But on these ones, you have to actually extract the motor and either split the cases or go in from the bottom end. And that's like taking off the oil pan and digging around in there until you find the starter clutch. So I do have a starter clutch. One of these bad boys, brand new, came with the bike, and originally I was just going to throw it in and start it up, and then I saw this one up for sale, and it was almost this serendipitous thing, because this thing has all of the pieces and parts that this one is missing. Also, this one's engine actually runs. It actually runs pretty good, considering it doesn't have any air filtration or anything in there. I can pretty much start it up and get it to run. This one has no title. It was a theft recovery bike bought out of a junkyard. You can see it's been punched out there and it's been down. I think somebody took it on a joyride and crashed it. But it's like, it's crazy how these two were like meant for each other, right? Look at this. Rear left is good. Rear right is all smashed up. Oh, we're missing one on the rear left. Here we go, rear right, we got one. We got a windscreen there, no windscreen there. We're missing a left mirror. This one's got the left mirror. Just all kinds of stuff. I was like, oh man, that's awesome, you know. This is kind of weird. Both these bikes were built in March of 1984. Both built in the exact same month. But look, this one's got handlebars, and this one's got clip-ons. I think the clip-ons look a little bit more stock. I'm not sure what happened to this one, how it ended up with handlebars. It does kind of look like somebody just bolted these handlebars on here, but I don't know. But so yeah, I mean, this one's got good grips. I'm going to be replacing these shitty grips. But the bulk of this project is basically going to be dropping these two motors and swapping them out. This motor, I was originally, like I said, I was originally going to be putting a starter clutch in it, but I was just turning it over by hand, and it's real sluggish, and it doesn't shift through the gears real well, and I could probably, you know, spruce it up. You know, once it gets going and gets oil circulating, I'm sure it'll perk right up. But this one is basically good to go. This motor here, good carbs. Good to go. I just got to find an air box because both of these are missing the air boxes for some reason. Lots of nice aftermarket products here. Like we've got a 4x2 Super Trap exhaust here. This one's got a 4x1. It's not as pretty. I think I'll keep the Super Trap exhaust on here. Super worn down tire here. Bitchin' tire here. It's the opposite on the front. The front, this one has a really worn down tire, but this one's tire is really good. So I think I might just swap the whole front end of this bike, of the red bike, onto the gray bike. Just because of, you know, all the clip-on and stuff, it would probably even be easier just to take off the whole front end. So eventually, this might take me a couple weeks or so, but eventually we're going to have one good bike, clean bike, with a nice running low mileage engine, and then one bike that's just completely disassembled. Yeah, there's probably not going to be much of this red bike once I'm done with it. The gray bike, it does have all, I have all the plastic parts. They're all fairly intact and undamaged. I mean, you have like little spots right here, but no major cracks. I have the side panels and everything. So it's gonna make a bitchin' bike. I'm really stoked for it. Yeah. So let's check out their current conditions. Alright, so we got the seat up, jumper cables on. It's always very nice to find tools, especially great big ass tools. It's worth $10 right here. What else we got? Just odds and ends and junk in here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and turn it on. That's pretty nice. All this in here works and lights up. Let's see. Oh. Turn signals almost work. Headlight does not work. Let's see if this does anything. This just flips the solenoid. Doesn't do anything. Let's jump the solenoid. You hear that? The starter motor is just spinning in the clutch, and the starter clutch isn't even grasping at all. So definitely have some work in here, but we have a fairly intact electrical system. All this works. This is a pretty cool feature. I love this. You press this button, you can read your voltage. I think that's just so cool. So yeah, now let's move on to number 2. Now this one's a little bit fresher, a little bit fewer miles on it. It looks like it was ridden a little bit more recently than the gray one. Now it starts. Let's see. Yeah, we got the turn signalage. Still no headlights. Let's see if we can get it to start. Alright. Pretty good for no airbox at all. I'm not going to torture it too much more. But yeah, bitchin'. I'm super pleased with it. It's got a lot of really cool features that work, you know, like the tail light and the turn signals and such. So, I'm going to be taking quite a few parts from here. Yeah, I'd say so. Ooh, a little bit smoky in here. So, first step is taking out this old junk engine. I think it's, now I haven't really poked around in here too much, but it looks like it's got like this subframe rather than a full frame that comes down here. It's got a subframe like a GSXR or a, you know, or a Katana or whatever. So I can just unbolt the subframe and the whole thing should just fall right down. I'm not sure if it's a subframe yet or if it's actually a hanging engine like those old Viragos. Those old 920s had that hanging engine. But yeah, you can see in here all this stuff just unbolts and then the thing just drops down, which is going to make this so much easier. I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, so I'll be, you know, next couple of days or whatever, maybe I'll do some good work today. But I'll be taking off the exhaust, taking off the plastics, unhooking the carburetors, taking off the tank and everything, taking off all the electricals, and then I just sort of really carefully unbolt it, and it should just fall right down.